Game releases have gotten so bad, Diablo 4 is being praised simply for working. Yeah, I've talked about this a lot here lately, not just specifically about Diablo 4, but games in general. It's almost like a uh, a huge surprise now whenever a AAA game comes out and it actually performs fairly well. Yeah, it's actually terrible, dude. It's terrible. Let's read this and we'll talk about it. D4 is set to release early next month, and Blizzard's sequel is apparently already doing something players claim other modern titles forget to do. The optimization of D4 received praise from its growing Reddit community on May 14th as the game had little to no FPS drop or performance issues. One eager Diablo gamer said they didn't have to check the video settings to try and optimize the game for it to just work. Another praised the performance on Steam Deck, which reportedly hit a stable 60 frames per second. Some chimed in to say it was puzzling because Diablo 4 actually runs well on max settings, even better than their copy of Diablo 2 Resurrected. However, one player pointed out this shouldn't even be a metric and that all games should just work without the need for gamers to be diving into the settings to figure out why there are issues, only to find out it was from the game and there's no fix. Thank you. Exactly this. Recent releases have had this problem for quite some time now, with some disgruntled players even pointing to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as the biggest one. I don't think the biggest one, but it's definitely an example. It suffered from several performance issues at launch to the point where people bowed out of playing. Another one was The Last of Us Part 1, which was bombarded with negative reviews when it was released on Steam due to a hefty pile of performance issues. The most notable recently is Jedi Survivor. Video games have had histories of very bad releases and trash optimization ever since they've become more complicated. This shouldn't be the standard, and the Diablo 4 fandom is certainly celebrating that fact, at least for now. They won't be seeing those issues plaguing their game. Yeah, dude, I talk about this all the time. It's so sad that instead of us, it should be the other way around. We should be totally surprised by a game that ever releases, especially from these massive developers with these insane budgets behind these games. We should be surprised if a game gets released and doesn't have great performance out of the box and doesn't give you all kinds of visual settings, video settings for you to play with just for whatever you want to get done in the game. Instead, it is what we deal with all the time. And it's gotten me very, very jaded, man. I'm not going to lie about it. Where it's you literally just expect nowadays any AAA game to get released almost anymore, especially from many AAA developers anymore, that if a game gets released and publishers, it's just going to be a piece of crap. It's just going to play like crap. It's probably going to have a combined issues of both performance and lackluster content. But we'll just stick with performance because ultimately you can't even hardly tell anymore if a game's going to have decent content because you can't even get the game played. The performance is so terrible on these releases anymore from AAA devs that you can't even tell if the content in the game is good because you can't even play the games. And it's become the norm. It's like the norm anymore. They're just crap. It's just crap. And so instead of being surprised at a crap game that comes out, we're surprised by a game that actually feels decent. That is so terrible. It's so bad. So, yeah, I mean, and this is what I said this recently. Like for Tears of the Kingdom, this is a great time for Nintendo. I mean, take away the fact that there are so many people that get hyped behind a series just like Zelda, right? Just for them to be a AAA developer, be releasing a hype title that came out and performs pretty well, that's a win. In early 2023, well, I mean, dude, we're quickly approaching halfway. We're well beyond the first quarter of 2023 now, and it's just been a plague of terrible titles. So for Nintendo, I think even if people weren't psyched about the fact that, and again, I think for Tears of the Kingdom, I was pretty sure this was just going to be Breath of the Wild 2. And that's what it feels like. It feels good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not busting on this game, but I think there were going to be people that were not real enthused or real happy with the fact that this wasn't going to be groundbreaking like Breath of the Wild. For me, I think that it's fine. Breath of the Wild was great. And for most Zelda fans, especially, they're going to be absolutely fine with this. But there are going to be other people that are a bit turned off by the fact that it's not real groundbreaking like Breath of the Wild. Overall, it's a AAA game that's got a lot of good content and it performs. And that's a win for Nintendo. Just the fact that this is a game that came out that plays well is a win nowadays. Especially in this just polluted segment of AAA games that just gets released all the time that you can't even hardly play. So, what a great time for them. And I mean, it wasn't like it was something that they tried to do on purpose. They've been planning on releasing this game at this date for a long time. It just happens that no other developers can actually develop a game that feels good anymore. So it just played to their benefit, you know. Not that there aren't any. There are some. There are some AAA developers that still do a decent job. Decent to good job. But they're getting much further and farther between. That's for sure. There are a lot fewer of them. So yeah, this is crazy, man. It's crazy that this is the world we live in now in gaming.